Okay, so now we're starting chapter 4B, project B. Um, it's called Beautiful Morning, Tea Room and Gardens. And so we're going to be learning a couple things in this lesson, like how to place images and how to make the ragged line on the left. Let's see, this is called a left aligned text. How to make the rag, which is the side that's not aligned, look a little better. There's an option for that. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, yes, using the coordinates again. So we're going to go over that in just a few. So first, I opened up the document that already has the text boxes in place of where the images will go. And next, what I'm going to do is show you guys how to place images. So, so there's a long way and a short way, as usual. So I'm going to show you the long way first. So I'm going to select one of the image text frames or image frames, and then go File, and it's Place. And then right next to it is the shortcut, Command or Control D. And you should memorize this one because it's in InDesign. You're going to have to place all your images, and it's very, it automatically went to a folder I was using before for InDesign. So let me go back to InDesign chapter 4, Art and Resources, Beautiful Morning, and then it's the teacup PSD. .psd means it's a Photoshop file, so it's a Photoshop image, and what that means is it's now placed into InDesign. And the difference between actually pasting or copying and pasting an image into InDesign and placing an image is that this file is now linked. It's still the Photoshop file, but it's linked to the InDesign file. And there is a difference. This file does not actually exist in InDesign. Like if I were to send you this without sending the Photoshop document with it, then this image would appear missing. So it's something to be aware of. You need to keep your placed images together with your InDesign document because they're not actually embedded into the InDesign file. They're just linked, okay? And there's a reason why you do this because when you have really hefty documents with lots and lots of pages and lots of images, it makes, if all the images were embedded in like a 200-page book, that file would be huge. And I don't know if you've tried to open up a huge file before, but it takes forever. It takes a lot of memory on your computer's part, and it might make your computer crash if your computer cannot handle it. So in InDesign, images are placed. So that way the InDesign file is actually quite small because every time it just references that image from Photoshop, but it doesn't actually carry all the information. So I'm going to go over that a little bit more in class because I think it's a little bit of an abstract concept, but if you've ever worked with websites and you know that images are linked to the page, they're not actually in the HTML, they're linked to the image, so sometimes images end up missing, and I don't know if you've ever come across that on the internet where an image is missing. It's because somehow the link got messed up. And there's a links panel here, and so now the teacup Photoshop file is actually in the links panel, and it tells you where it was linked from, and you can relink it again. Go to link, whoops, okay, no, that just goes to the image. Or you can relink, okay, relink. So then it tells you I have to go back and find it, my desktop. Let's see, InDesign. Anyway, you can relink it, but in this case I don't need to relink it. But I'm gonna place another teacup right here. The same teacup. It's the same file, it just knows that it needs to appear here and here. So it's actually not in the document twice. It's just linked again and again and again. And the beauty of that, like I was saying earlier, is that it keeps the file size small. It's not really there until you print. Then when you go to print, it goes to the file and then takes the information at that time. So I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna go File, Place again to do the long way. Grab the teacup file. You just place it again and again. So it's a little bit of practice placing the same image. Control D or Command D is the shortcut. And then again, placed. Okay, so that's how you place an image. It's pretty easy. You just hit Control D or you go File, Place, and then search for where the image actually is. And then InDesign keeps track of that process in the links panel. So for example, if I were to move that teacup image out of the folder, then all of these would come up in error because it wouldn't know where to find them anymore. And then these teacups might not show up, or they'll be really pixelated. They won't be clear. So it's just something to be aware of when placing images and text as well, because you can place text, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. So now I went ahead and I added the glyphs 1, 2, and 3. I just followed the directions exactly as is in step 3. And step 4, centered them inside the text box and then align them centered in the text alignment options. And so those two things we've already gone over a lot. So anyway, and the glyphs obviously were from the glyphs panel in the specific font that was chosen for step 3. So yeah, you guys can do that part on your own, but what's new here is place the reference point in the upper. Okay, so we're gonna draw the text frame from here, and the question is where do we put it? We could eyeball it just like we were doing with some of the other projects, but if you want to have it exactly in the same place, they give you those directions. And if I zoom in right here, we can take a look at that. So right here it says place reference point in the upper left corner of the proxy. Okay, remember how we're talking about the proxy, and then draw the frame with these coordinates. So x is 3.5 and y is 2.5. And then the width and height are in picas. So we just have to remember to enter picas, even though I'm using inches as my rulers. So regardless of whether you have inches or picas for rulers, you can still enter, but as long as you specify, like at the very end of the number, P or IN. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my text box. First, change my proxy, the reference point, to the top corner like it specifies, the upper left corner. And then, let's see, I'm going to draw. Okay, now there's a couple ways to do this. I could draw guides exactly to where that corner will start. Let's see, so I can try that. Width is gonna be, no, the x is gonna be 3.5. So 3.5 is right here. And then the y is gonna be 2.5. So 2.5 is right here. So I know that the top corner of my box will start there, and I also know that the width and height of my box. So what I'm going to do actually is just click on my screen. Whoops. Hold on. Click. It's not working. Normally if you click, it'll give you the specifications that you want, but for some reason it's not working. Try one more thing. I forgot you have to double click, and it just popped up now. So the width and the height, you can enter either by just clicking in a blank area of your document, or you can enter it up in the control panel, which is now grayed out because I am using this option. There's usually more than one way to enter something in InDesign or any of the Adobe programs. There's multiple ways. So I just picked this way because I prefer it. Width is going to be 15p6, which means 15 picas and 6 points. So you have to make sure you get that p exactly right where it's supposed to be, or you're going to end up with a very different measurement, because picas are much bigger than points. 15 picas and 6 points. So you just write 15p6 and then tab down one. Oh, and it automatically translated to inches because my document is set to inches. So I don't have to worry about that once I hit tab. And then the H, the height is 35p. So 35 picas, and then I just hit enter, return to say okay. And now I have the text box that is exactly the size, the text frame that I need. And I'm gonna put it so that my top left corner is exactly where the proxy is. So now I know that it's positioned exactly where the other one is positioned. Next thing that we're going to do is place text, okay? So in the past, we've typed it all out. But for this project, thankfully, we don't have to type it all out. We can place it from another Word document. So if you use Microsoft Word for a lot of your documents, you can link it basically by placing it to the InDesign document. So let me show you again, File, Place, or Controller Command D, and then it's the text, the document that says O4B text. You hit open, and there it is. Now, right now it's unformatted, but you do all the formatting in InDesign, so that doesn't matter. And I'm gonna go ahead and pause my video while I format, so you don't have to watch that part. Basically, it's, you know, it's all what we've learned already. So I'm gonna pause. Last thing, I went ahead and typed everything, and I wanted to make a note of a couple things. I really, after inputting the formatting that she specified from Terry Ryberg, I realized that I'm learning more and more when to use the paragraph spacing. So for example, right here, there is a certain, it's like 0.1875 inches of the space after spacing for each paragraph. And then here she wanted a little bit more space to separate the information from the copy. So she added some space before. But again, there's only one return. So by doing these projects with you guys, I'm learning more and more about when to use the inset spacing. I used to put another paragraph in there to get that extra return, to get that extra space, but now I see that that's not the proper way to do things. And so the last step here is to use something we haven't used before. It's under Windows. It's a panel that you probably don't have open. So I'm going to go show you where it is. Under Window, Type and Tables, there's something called Story. And I think it's called Story because it's affecting like the main story of the article here. And if you click Optical Margin Alignment, in fact, I'm going to apply it to the whole thing here, the whole column, Optical Alignment, Margin Alignment, it visually adjusts the spacing in the text so it looks a little better. And this is just like computer smartness, all these auto features. And in this case, it's kind of hard to tell. It seems very slight. However, let's see, if I go into preview mode, maybe it'll be more obvious. So Control Z is back in time, that's before, and then Control Shift Z goes forward. It is really hard to tell. But anyway, it makes a little bit of a difference. I think if you have more text, it'll be more obvious. But it's something to remember, and it was in Window, Type and Tools, because anything that has to do with type, all those panels, and these are, again, the little panels are all on the side here. And so if it's not in the control panel, something that you want to do is not in the control panel, you'll need to get it from the other more specific panels. And like I said, they have a lot more options than are available in the control panel. And so Story is one of them, and it has to do with type, so it's under the type, under Windows, under Types and Tables. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for this project. Stop right here.